statements, but Joe did make some good points. I have to say that he is correct. He is investing in small business, and Newmarket has been investing. They've created a few councils that are steering that to ensure that we are sustainable and that we do bring small business into Newmarket. I want to take it one step further, and this is where I'm going to anger another candidate. I want to close Main Street. I want to close it off on weekends. The reason I'm going to close it off is because you're asking the question whether a second cup is something you want in. Is it going to push out the mom and pop stores? I have my coffee at Cover Notes. My wife goes there every single day and gets her coffee. That's true, isn't it? Okay, just making sure. And what I would say to this is, and there's another point that Ann touched on, there's a lot of hair salons. If it is economically sensible to open a business in an area and you can make money doing that, then open it, regardless of whether it's a coffee shop, whether it's a hair salon, or anything. If it brings people to Main Street, open the business. Open a grocery store on Main Street. Open a bakery on Main Street. The parking, okay, I'm going to back up. Dr. Gell, I keep using this guy, I think he's really, really interesting. This urban specialist, if you take Copenhagen, they blocked off a whole main vein. It was a 4-lane road with all mom and pop, excuse the expression, family-run businesses all the way down. When that happened, you had some people that were advocates of it. They said, we're a coffee shop, it's going to bring people walking, we're going to get increased value. Then you had someone else that might have a furniture store that said, we can't do this because you have to walk with your packages and your beds and everything else 100,000 meters and we can't do this. And that happened, and of course there's going to be that conflict between business owners because walking will lend itself to certain types of businesses, but what studies show is that it lends itself to mom and pop businesses. And it also lends itself to the families, the family-oriented people that are coming down to congregate. So what will happen on Main Street is the same thing that would happen in Copenhagen. You would have some businesses that would be against it, but let me tell you a fact. And the fact is, over 2 years, the small businesses increased 800%. And that's because they had people there. It's like when I go on Main Street and I walk down Main Street, and it's very unfortunate. I'm also a small business owner, and I have a business on Main Street. So I have a vetted interest as much as anyone else. But I don't want to mention Main Street as the only form of business. Like Joe said, like I'm saying, there's businesses all over Newmarket. And when we're talking about the expansion of Davis and Young, we're looking at that as an urban dwelling. Well, what's going to happen is you'll fill the residences. We know that. You'll fill the residencies. How are you going to fill all the small shops? Historically, retail will fill fairly quickly because everybody has to clothe themselves. And historically, restaurants will fill very quickly. The niche shops don't fill quickly. So you have to incentivize them to come into the town. And the niche, I'm sorry, am I out of time? Last thing, all I was going to say with niche shops, you do tax incentives, tax breaks for 1 or 2 years based on their gross income, because after that, the town of Newmarket is collecting taxes off them for the rest of their lives, and you'll make lots of money doing it.
Assuming, as we must, that the end of cheap oil is in sight, and that commuting is going to be a very different proposition in maybe the next 5 to 10 years, what do people see, and this is a good follow-up to the previous question, how to make Ward 5 a livable city and a sustainable development? You can touch on environment as a general issue for this question if you want, but what would Newmarket look like if we couldn't all commute to Toronto? Okay, so the first person will be, actually, Steve. No, that can't be right. Sorry, thank you.
How do we make a livable city out of Ward 5? First of all, I have been, my passion is placemaking. I belong to the placemaking movement. It's a think tank of placemakers for North America. And I've contributed in the past with public spaces for sort of projects for public spaces.org in New York, another think tank on placemaking. Big fan of people like Richard Florida and so forth, and really understand the realities of what we call new urbanism right now, but it's really traditional urbanism. Spent several years living in old 11th century towns in Northern Europe, and realized that city design, the way we used to do it, really worked, and worked for many, many centuries, not like some of the city building that we've done over the past 100 years. I think that Newmarket's in the right track. I think with our trail systems, the infrastructure that we're putting in place now for the Viva Next, I know we're not seeing the return, we're not seeing the horizon now, but trust me, in the next 10 to 15 years, that return is we'll get a return on our investment on Viva Next. I think that the fact that we're going to see intensified, dense development on Yonge Street and Davis Drive, which will be a mix of residential and jobs, is going to reduce the pressure on using vehicles. And people will be able to have job opportunities within the municipality. I think our economic development strategy that is built around the health sector and the creative sector is going to create more opportunities for us to work here in Newmarket, where we're going to look at opportunities that will go from making the lab coats to constructing the materials that build the labs, and try to do it all here. And as I said earlier, I believe that Ward 5 is in the right track with the downtown revitalization, with the walkable neighborhoods that we have already in Ward 5, wonderful neighborhoods, Bowden, Baker Hill, Roywood, Curry Crescent yesterday. What a wonderful street, what a wonderful neighborhood that is. So we're lucky because it's an old neighborhood that was built with a lot of old planning values still. And so there are very many opportunities within Ward 5 to maintain its sustainability and build on it. So I'm positive. I feel that Newmarket is on the right track. I think we have an economic development strategy in place. I think we have a revitalization in place in respect for our heritage. I think we're leaders. I know we are leaders in terms of environmental initiatives. The town of Newmarket receives awards on a regular basis from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, from the province of Ontario, the federal government, on sustainability, on placemaking, on our official plan, on our transit corridors, on our revitalization, on our and the incentives that we're providing now for businesses in the Main Street. What we have to do is stay on track. What we need is a steady hand, we need experience, and I think that the next 4 years, as I said earlier, we're on the right track. Let's complete what we started, and I think that in 10 to 20 years ago, from now, Newmarket will be an exceptional community. It is now, but it will be a model for sustainable living, for placemaking, and what traditional urbanism really is. Thank you.